Now, so there is one aspect in which Fritz Haber is just the worst. Yeah, dominating husband, very much believed in the traditional role of the wife, straight up like get in the kitchen woman kind of man. So he is just already the worst there. But let's back up and talk about some of the other ways in which he was the worst. He was born into a Jewish family.
Yes. But not practicing, not actively religious. More ethnically Jewish. They weren't they celebrated Christmas and like didn't really do Passover and stuff. They were just kind of ethnically Jewish.
Right. He, around 20, joins the Lutheran faith because it was the German faith. The one thing that we have with Haber is this intense patriotism.
One could almost call it nationalism.
Quite. And he abandons / erases any trace of his connection with his Jewish roots. In fact, later in life, spoilers, when he and his children have to flee Germany because of the persecution of the Jews, he has to sit down with his children and explain to them, we're Jewish. They didn't know. So thoroughly had he separated himself from any of that. But now we come to, we've kind of talked a lot about the complete scumbaggery of the man. Let's talk about the brilliance, because it also ties into the more scumbaggery. In many ways, a lot of the wars of Europe were driven by hunger, right? Mm-hmm. You needed food, you needed land, and so all of these things, you were contesting land and trying to get more place to plant crops to feed your people. And what they really needed was nitrogen.
Yes.
Now, nitrogen was primarily in two places. One was Chile, had vast petrified guano deposits, essentially, vast nitrate mines.
That is bird and bat poop.
Yes.
Guano. Since this did come from a vocabulary show, yes, seems like you should pick up a new word or two. Guano, bird or bat poop.
There you go. And so there was lots of nitrates in Chile. The other place that had lots of nitrates was the air. The air around us is, I think, over 70% nitrogen. Mm-hmm. But you can't use it. It is triple bonded. It's these two nitrogen atoms are so tightly bound together, they are inert, right? So you can't actually use it for anything.
Yeah, this is or was, right now we don't even think of it. This was the holy grail of chemistry, was to be able to pull nitrogen out of thin air.
Literally.
Right. The phrase was pulling bread and bullets out of thin air.
And that brings us to our connection, because here we have the mad scientist Haber, who is undisputed absolute genius. He solves the problem, right? He figures it out. But not for the bread part. He was not trying to feed the world. The other thing you can do with this nitrogen out of the air is create nitrates with which to make gunpowder, explosives, bombs, all of that. Mm-hmm. It is worth noting, you could essentially lay not one, but 2 world wars at Haber's feet. Germany was cut off from Chile. Okay? They were not able to get enough nitrates for their gunpowder and explosives. Like, it would have been a short war because they did not have a source to run a war. This comes down to Haber and his invention, which, like I said, not trying to feed the world, trying to make guns, bullets, ammo, explosives, bombs.
I can tell you exactly how long. When Germany went into World War I, they only had 6 months worth of ammunition. 6 months, right? They're going in. Okay, we see all the dominoes are falling. This world war is about to happen. Germany has 6 months worth of bullets, shells, etc. to put towards the war effort. Then, using the Haber process, they pull 100,000 tons of nitrates out of the air and put it directly towards killing other human beings.
Yeah. By the way, it's not like they figured out something else. That is also how they were able to have enough nitrates to run World War II.
Yeah.
So again, without that Haber process, or they call it the Haber-Bosch process, Haber figured out the science. A guy named Karl Bosch figured out the scale, right? He figured out how to make machines to do this in the hundreds of thousands of tons. That was Karl Bosch. Not a mad scientist, so we're not going to be talking much about him, but he was the one who scaled it. But Haber was the genius behind figuring out how to do it. And yes, brought you both world wars, because otherwise Germany could not have had the nitrates sufficient to make bullets.
On an even pettier scale, by many accounts, what really drove Haber to figure out the what we now know as the Haber-Bosch process. It was this whole thing about it was a chemical factory was accidentally producing ammonia as a side effect and different things. But what got him chasing the holy grail of chemistry was actually a petty rivalry with one Walter Nernst, who won the Nobel Prize in 1912. And Haber felt robbed. He felt like he was so much smarter than Nernst. He felt like he should have been at least nominated. And so, by many accounts, that is what drove him, was this petty rivalry with another scientist. But yeah, he for the Haber process, he ends up winning the Nobel Prize in 1916, I want to say.
1918, I believe.
1918, okay.
Which, the timing is just very strange.
It's